Hello everyone, how's everyone doing? You guys doing good too? I'm doing good too. Let's get on today's video session. Here we go. Yeah, how's you guys doing today? So welcome back on my video session today. Today I have a Sega Saturn game controller Model 2 to show you. First of all, I'm gonna show you this control pad. Okay, take a look at this very quickly. Back here. Of course, it has a very long wire. Take a look at this. Very long wire indeed. Really long. Amazing, isn't it? The connector on this looks like that. Okay. And from the front, it looks like that. Okay. This control pad, right? So what do I make out of it? This control pad has a 8-directional. Sorry, do one finger. Okay, 8-directional D-pad, which was made for Street Fighter games, because a lot of controllers, they're hard to do and use these D-pads, but this D-pad was really good for that. And also A, B, C, X, Y, Z. These bones, right, face bones, are really good. Now this D-pad, if we go back to it, is really good. It's very, very flexible indeed. And it does a really good job of doing your moves, like crouch, up, left, right, stuff like that. One of the most disadvantage in many controllers was that when you press down and left, then you press A, you get to do Hadouken fireball, don't you? That was the main thing that a lot of controllers struggled on, and that's why Sega made one of these better controllers. Now, and also, there's a wire coming on the top. You can see that. He has these triggers. Yeah, take a look at this properly. You can, the way I'm doing it there, you can feel the press on these trigger buttons, L and R. Each time when you press it, you can tell it's getting pressed down. Look at this. This is what made triggers easier. Sorry, shoulder buttons. Okay? These shoulder buttons are really good. In the Sega Saturn game controller Model 1, these were bad. You couldn't even tell if you're pressing them. And sometimes you could just about hear the click. It was just like a miss most of the times when you used to use the controller. It wasn't a great controller, but it was good. If you look at the They took it from the Sega Mega Drive. They look at it properly, isn't it? But the Sega Mega Drive controller in size was smaller, and it probably wouldn't fit every single hand. I mean, if your hands are really small, you probably will, cover the whole damn controller, and it makes it really small because obviously the size of the Sega Mega Drive controller is a 6-button controller, which actually that design from Sega Mega Drive is placed into this controller. Okay, it is like that. That was smaller, but this width. Look at the width of this. Width means from left to right. It's wider. It's bigger. This is. Most of your hands, this will fit. This will be a great fit. If you think the Sega Mega Drive and you got big hands, you hardly wouldn't like it. But this one will be far more suitable. It's a much better control pad. Every button on this, right? The D-pad, edge buttons, the trigger, they're all flexible buttons on there. They are well made. You probably know that this can be connected to the PC, this control pad, but you need to buy a thing called Sega Saturn adapter for USB PC. Okay, you'll buy that. With that, if you read it carefully, it said in the box that you can use it for all emulation and PC games. Is actually true. Using one of these controllers. I haven't tried many emulation programs, but if you look at a lot of PC games that they were talking about that, it doesn't configure. It doesn't. Because Adaptors made it quite a few years ago, didn't it? And probably in that time, they're talking about them PC games in time. What I've noticed, two things. Why this controller? I wouldn't say it's a controller, because it's all about the adapter, the circuitry, the software they're using in there. Why this controller is not configuring? The reason for that is I will avoid this. You know, when you go to the configuration for your game controller, it will have a Microsoft game controller on there. Every time you have that picture on there, you won't be able to configure this controller. Yeah, that's too modern, isn't it? Because you're using Microsoft game controllers, especially the Xbox ones, Xbox 360 and Xbox One. On them controllers. If every time you see that picture of the Microsoft game controller, don't configure with this controller. It won't configure for that game. Then I found out a lot of these modern PC games accept controllers which have drivers installed. They install drivers from your controller and the softwares. Them are the controller, like Microsoft controllers, that configure with them games. Now we're talking about them games which don't even have in the game controller configuration. There's no Microsoft game controller picture in there. But the thing about some of these games, they're like controllers which install drivers, which are the modern game controllers, especially from Microsoft and all that. Now they go that you don't need any software or drivers installed using the Sega Saturn adapter. That is the primary reason that you can't configure Majority games with this. So what I'm trying to say, can you configure any PC game with this controller? Yeah, the games don't require drivers from controllers. These will be pretty old games. I mean, most majority for my collection, the games I tried, the game that I got running was Sonic Heroes. That configured really well. You can tell when your controller is getting configured. Do you know how you can tell? When you go to the game controller input screen, where it says A button, you press on that, and then it says waiting, because it's waiting for an input from these controllers, isn't it? And once you press this button, it will say this button, control, whatever the button is, A, B, whatever. You will accept it. Then that means it's fine. If you accept all these buttons, then you're good to go. Then that game like Sonic Heroes will work. If the other way what I told you, with modern drivers, game controllers, with no picture and picture of Microsoft game controller, and when you do the input and it doesn't do anything with these buttons, you know it won't work with this controller. So understand that very carefully, how the whole system works. If you accept any input of these controls, it will work with it. It's probably a very few games will work with this thing. You have to just try it out. So what I'm going to do in my next video, I'm going to be showing you, so not showing you, I will be telling you which games, right, can work with this controller. Which ones are they can configure with this game controller? I will tell you all of them. The ones I own anyway. I will name you some of them games. I will test every single game that I own. I don't have that many anyway. And I will tell you which one works with this. You will know. And I tell you it's gonna be the games that don't require any drivers, and they're gonna be majority of all games. Or they can be bit new kind of games that don't really care for drivers. You'll soon find out which ones work. But I tell you, not all games will work with this thing. So bear that in mind. So I hope you guys liked my video today and you enjoyed it. Give your likes, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.